Dust trailed behind Elias Turner's horse as he rode through the dying light of evening, the sky painted in streaks of fire and ash. He had nothing left but this land, bought with the last coin he owned, a gamble he prayed would end his wandering years. The fields stretched empty before him, brittle grass bending under the weight of the wind, the kind of silence that carried both promise and warning. He imagined rows of wheat, the laughter of hired hands, maybe even the faint chance of a family. The frontier had chewed him up more than once, but he believed, no, he needed to believe, that this farm was his redemption. The house came into view first, a sagging structure with paint blistered off and windows crusted with dust. Beyond it, the barn loomed, dark and broad against the setting sun. Its doors swayed open slightly, creaking with each breath of the wind. He slowed his horse, unease curling in his gut. Something about the place felt abandoned in a hurry. A length of rope dangled from a fence post as though left mid-task. He muttered under his breath, more to calm himself than anything else, just old wood and shadows. Nothing more. He tethered his horse and stepped onto the porch. The boards groaned beneath his boots, the sound sharpened the silence. The house was empty, he could tell from the smell alone, stale and unwelcoming. But the barn pulled at him. There was something inside, he felt it the way a man senses a storm before the clouds break. He pushed the heavy doors apart, and a beam of light spilled into the gloom, cutting through dust that swirled like restless spirits. The smell hit him first, stale hay and something else, something human. His eyes adjusted slowly. Shapes emerged, ladders, barrels, an old wagon wheel leaning crooked in the corner. Then, hanging from the rafters, he saw her. For a moment, Elias thought he was looking at a corpse. A woman, no, larger than a woman, tall as a man even with her body sagging from the rope. Her head lolled to one side, dark hair clinging to her face, lips parted as if in a silent prayer. His chest seized. He had seen hangings before in dusty town squares, justice or cruelty meted out beneath the sun, but never this. Never alone in a barn, never like a forgotten warning. Then he caught it, a sound, faint as a moth's wing. Breath. Shallow, ragged, but still there. She was alive. He rushed forward, boots slipping on straw, and pulled his knife from his belt. The rope resisted, fibers tough with age, until it gave way under the blade. The woman's weight collapsed into him, near knocking him flat. She was heavy, unnaturally so, her frame broad, her limbs long and muscled like she had been carved from raw timber. He grunted under the strain, lowering her to the ground. "Stay with me," he whispered, though he doubted she could hear. Her skin was clammy, her neck raw where the rope had bitten. He grabbed a pail of water from the corner, splashing it over her face. She sputtered weakly, chest heaving in protest, and her eyelids fluttered. For an instant her eyes opened, wild and fevered, and Elias saw the terror in them. She tried to speak. Words scraped past her lips like broken glass. They'll come back." Her hand jerked weakly toward the barn doors before falling limp again. Elias froze, the meaning striking him like a hammer. Whoever had done this might not be far. He glanced around the barn, pulse racing, but only silence pressed back against him. He dragged her toward the house, every step a struggle against her weight, his muscles screaming in protest. Still, he would not leave her. Whatever trouble she carried, she was breathing, and he couldn't abandon her to die in the dirt. Inside the house, he laid her on the narrow bed, the mattress sagging under her size. He fetched water again, dabbing her lips, willing her to stay tethered to life. Up close, he noticed the details, the calluses on her palms, scars crisscrossing her wrists, bruises blooming along her arms. She had been bound, mistreated, used. His stomach tightened with anger, though he didn't yet know at whom. "Easy now," he murmured, as if soothing a skittish horse. "You're safe. For now." Her breathing steadied slightly, though her body trembled as though caught in some dream she could not wake from. Elias sat back, running a hand through his hair, dust coating his fingers. He had come here to escape, not to pick up someone else's fight. But the sight of her, broken and left to die, carved at something inside him that he had long thought buried. He knew suffering, knew what it was to lose and keep losing, and maybe that was why he couldn't turn away. The quiet didn't last. Somewhere beyond the fields, a sound rose, a low rumble, rhythmic, growing closer. Elias stiffened, every muscle taut. Hoofbeats. More than one horse, coming fast. He looked at the unconscious girl, then at the rifle mounted above the hearth. His throat went dry. He had wanted a new beginning, a clean start where no one knew his name or his failures. Instead, on his first night, the frontier had delivered something else entirely. The hoofbeats grew louder, echoing like thunder through the dusk. Elias reached for the rifle, his heart hammering as he whispered to the girl who couldn't hear him, "Seems your trouble's already here." The wind rattled the shutters, and dust swirled across the floor. The farm was no longer a place of peace, it was a trap, and he was already in it. The hoofbeats closed in, steady as a war drum, and Elias steadied his breath, rifle pressed against his shoulder. Through a crack in the shutters, he counted 3 riders, maybe 4, their silhouettes sharp against the moon's pale glow. They dismounted slow, the kind of slow that meant they weren't in any hurry. Men who thought they owned whatever patch of earth they stood on. One spat, the sound carrying across the night. Another chuckled, low and ugly. A knock followed, not polite but heavy, the sort that said the door belonged to them. Elias didn't move. He let the silence hang until a voice cut through it. "Name's Dugan. Sheriff in these parts. We're tracking someone, thought maybe they come this way." The words dripped with authority, but the tone was too slick, too practiced. Elias had met men like him, lawmen in name only, justice for sale to the highest bidder. He lowered the rifle, tucked it out of sight, and opened the door halfway. Dugan stood at the front, broad hat casting his face in shadow, mustache trimmed sharp. His men lingered behind, eyes restless, hands near their holsters. "Farm's mine," Elias said, voice flat. "Bought it clean. Haven't seen a soul but my own horse." Dugan's gaze slid past him, toward the dim interior. "Funny. We tracked Prince headin' this way. Big Prince." He smiled thinly, as if daring Elias to contradict him. "Now, I don't mean to pry, but if you've seen something, Savannah's the trouble, keep things simple." Elias kept his shoulders square. "Barn's empty. House too. You're welcome to search if you've got a warrant in that fancy coat of yours." The men shifted. One cursed under his breath. Dugan's smile widened, though his eyes stayed cold. "Out here, son, my words warrant enough. But I admire a man who stands tall. We'll come back tomorrow, see if you change your mind." He tipped his hat, a mock courtesy, and turned. The hoofbeats receded, fading into the dark, but the threat lingered like a splinter under skin. Elias shut the door, jaw tight. On the bed, the woman stirred. Her eyes opened slowly, clearer now though rimmed with pain. "You lied for me," she rasped, voice deep, almost guttural. "You'd be dead if I hadn't," he replied. She tried to sit, but her body betrayed her, trembling too hard. Elias steadied her, surprised at the sheer size of her hand against his arm. Her gaze locked onto his, unwavering. "Name's Clara," she said, forcing the word out. "I ran. They want me back." He waited, letting her speak at her pace. "They bought me young," she continued, bitterness grinding each syllable. "Traveled me in wagons, chained me like an ox. Called me the giantess, made folks pay to stare. Nights were worse than days. I broke free last month. One man tried to stop me. He didn't live long enough to try again." Her eyes flicked to the rope burns at her neck. "They caught me. Thought they'd finish it quiet. Guess you changed that." Elias felt a weight settle in his chest. Her story scraped raw against his own regrets. He'd run too, not from chains but from debts and failures, from every place he'd ever called home until it turned sour. They were different, yet not. Two broken souls trying to claim something whole. "You saved me," Clara said, her voice low. "But you'll pay for it. Men like Dugan don't stop." He poured water into a tin cup, handed it to her. "Then let him come. I've been running my whole damn life. Maybe it's time I stopped. The night passed in uneasy silence, the fire cracking soft in the hearth. When morning broke, Elias was already outside, chopping wood, each swing away to keep his mind from unraveling. Clara joined him, unsteady but determined, her size making even the axe look small. She moved with a stubbornness that spoke of years surviving against odds no one else could carry. By sundown, the riders returned, more this time. 6, maybe 7. Dust kicked up around them like smoke from hell's furnace. Dugan sat tall, eyes glinting. "Thought I'd give you one more chance, Turner," he called. "Hand her over, and this farm stays yours. Keep lying, and it burns." Elias lifted his rifle, the wood cool against his cheek. "Ain't yours to take." For a heartbeat, the air froze. Then Dugan's hand twitched, and the world erupted. Gunfire cracked, splinters flew, glass shattered from the windows. Elias ducked behind the trough, firing back in sharp bursts. Clara, pale but fierce, dragged a beam from the barn and swung it with terrifying force, knocking one rider clean from his saddle. Bullets tore through the air, kicking up dirt, slamming into wood. The farm became a battlefield, the quiet dream Elias had bought reduced to smoke and fury. One by one, the riders faltered. Elias's shots rang true, precise and merciless. Clara fought with raw strength, each motion fueled by years of fury denied release. Dugan cursed, retreating behind his horse, firing wild, but even his men began to waver, shaken by the sight of a woman larger than life tearing through their ranks. The barn caught fire, flames licking up the dry timber, spreading fast. Elias's heart clenched, but there was no saving it. The place he thought would root him was already ash in the making. He reloaded, lined his sights, and when Dugan stepped into view, Elias didn't hesitate. The shot cracked clean, sending the false lawman sprawling into the dirt. Silence followed, broken only by the crackle of fire and Clara's ragged breaths. When the last of the smoke cleared, only the two of them remained. The barn was gone, half the house singed, the field scarred. Clara leaned on the fence post, bloodied but alive, her face set with a strange mix of sorrow and relief. "You should have let me go," she said quietly. "Would have saved your land." Elias shook his head, lowering the rifle. "Land don't make a man. Choices do." He looked at the ruins, then at her. "And I ain't about to choose cowardice." For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Clara straightened, her towering frame casting a long shadow across the broken yard. "They'll send more," she warned. "Then we ride," Elias said simply. "Together." The wind carried the smell of ash across the prairie, but for the first time in years, Elias felt lighter. He had bought a farm, but what he had truly purchased was a chance at something greater, to stand for more than himself. Far out in the horizon, the sun dipped low, painting the sky in blood and gold. Clara mounted one of the captured horses, Elias climbing into the saddle beside her. Without another word, they set off, leaving the smoldering farm behind, carrying with them scars, secrets, and a fragile bond forged in fire. Some men spent their fortunes on gold, some on land, others on whiskey to dull the emptiness. Elias Turner spent his on a dream that burned, but from its ashes rose something rarer, the strength to fight for mercy, and the will to ride forward no longer alone. If this story stirred you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The frontier holds many secrets yet untold, and the next one may be closer than you think.